Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today we are completing the book Islamic Science and Making of the European Renaissance, as this is the seventh and last chapter of the book, Age of Decline, the Fecundity of Astronomical Thought. And in this chapter, we are going to be discussing how Islamic science declined and what were the reasons behind it. And we are going to be critiquing some classical narratives about the decline of Islamic science. So let's start. Post 13th century Islamic astronomy was highly innovative, developing alternatives to Greek theories and influencing Renaissance Europe, challenging the decline narrative. So the critique of the decline narrative is two main assumptions underlie the decline narrative. The conflict paradigm between religion and science, modeled on European history, attributes the decline to the triumph of religious thought, particularly after Ghazali's work, The Incoherence of the Philosophers, Tahafatul Falasifa. And the second is that political turmoil, such as the Mongol sack of Baghdad in 1258, is blamed for disrupting intellectual progress. Both perspectives overlook evidence of continued and innovative scientific activity during these periods. Ghazali's critiques were primarily philosophical and did not directly oppose scientific inquiry. Islamic scholars of his time focused on critiquing Greek scientific traditions, e.g., Ibn al-Haytham's critique of Ptolemy, not on opposing religious orthodoxy, which shows that there was no science versus religion thing. Despite the 1258 Mongol sack of Baghdad, intellectual activity thrived in other centers, and this decentralization fostered diversity and creativity. Golden Age of Islamic Astronomy. The author has termed this decline era as the Golden Age of Islamic Astronomy due to groundbreaking developments, particularly in planetary theories. Figures like Shamsuddin al-Khafri exemplified the unparalleled originality and progress during this era. 19th century Orientalist biases dismissed later Islamic scientific works, but recent studies revealed their originality and importance. Reassessing intellectual history. Continued scientific innovation post-decline underscores the resilience of Islamic thought, particularly in astronomy, beyond simplistic narratives. Critique of the classical narrative. The idea of an quote-unquote age of decline after Ghazali is refuted by continued advancements in fields like astronomy, medicine, and engineering, with figures like Khafri and Ibn al-Shatir making significant contributions. Advancements in engineering and mechanisms. Comparison of Banu Musa's 9th century work with Jazari's 13th century devices highlights significant progress. Jazari's devices not only fulfilled practical purposes but also demonstrated physical principles, reflecting a more advanced understanding of mechanics. Innovations in medicine and critique of Greek legacy. Ibn al-Nafis challenged Galen's and Avicenna's medical doctrines, laying the groundwork for the discovery of pulmonary circulation. His work exemplifies the era's trend of critiquing and refining Greek scientific traditions. Al-Farisi, guided by Qutbuddin al-Shirazi, refuted and improved upon the optical theories of Ibn al-Haytham and earlier Greeks, notably solving the phenomena of the rainbow. Astronomical achievements. Post-Ghazali astronomers like Tusi and Ibn al-Shatir developed sophisticated alternatives to Ptolemaic astronomy, setting new theoretical standards. Role of commentaries. Commentaries served as a medium for introducing and contextualizing novel ideas comparable to modern academic journals. Criticism of this period's scientific output as mere repetition is refuted by evidence of original insights embedded within these works. Integration of science and religion. Many scientists of the era held religious roles, indicating no inherent conflict between science and religion in Islamic civilization. Astronomy, in particular, thrived under religious patterns and institutions. Impact of the Mongol invasion. Despite the destruction of Baghdad, Tusi and others advanced science by founding the Maragha Observatory, a key hub for astronomical progress. Modern assessments misjudge this period as stagnant, overlooking substantial progress and originality in scientific works. Ottoman, Safavid, and Mughal empires emerged during the early 16th century. These empires faced rivalry due to sectarian and geopolitical conflicts, especially between Sunni Ottomans and Shia Safavids. And these empires declined around the 19th to 20th centuries, around the same time, due to global shifts. Impact of the New World discovery. Disrupted Euro-Asian trade routes that once enriched Islamic lands, shifted wealth and resources toward Europe, depriving Islamic economies of their previous advantages. European nations gained wealth through colonization, raw material exploitation, and the transatlantic slave trade. Economic reorientation. European colonial powers bypassed Islamic lands in trade, turning Islamic economies into consumers rather than producers of wealth. Rise of European scientific institutions. Royal and scientific academies emerged in Europe, driven by newfound wealth from colonial exploitation. These institutions fostered scientific innovation and competitive progress. Decline in Islamic scientific production. Islamic scientific institutions were patronage-based and lacked mechanisms for self-sustaining funding. Individual brilliance could not compensate for the absence of a systematic and capital-driven approach to science. Comparative decline. So the author points out that the decline is relative. So the decline of the Islamic world is viewed as relative to Europe's accelerated progress after the New World's discovery. The competitive race initiated in the 16th century continues, with non-Western nations still struggling to keep pace. Modern challenges. Persistent inequalities in resources, infrastructure, and capital between the West and non-West, and the brain drain exacerbates the competitive disadvantage for the Islamic world and other non-Western regions. And that is the end of this chapter and the end of this book. And inshallah, after this one, we are going to be starting a new book. Stay tuned for that one.